Kurumi is a polymath, best-selling author, keynote speaker, public policy advisor, corporate trainer, and transformational coach for visionary leaders. Through her work of coaching, consulting, and capacity building, Deola deploys her extraordinary gift of unlocking potential in people, institutions, and nations. Founder of Immerse Coaching Company, she is a certified visionary leadership coach by the Oleg Konovalov Global Coaching Certification, a Gallup certified strengths coach, a certified masteries practitioner by the International Association of Coaching USA, and renowned for her archetypal coaching framework as well as original assessments. Deola has delivered executive coaching, team building retreats, and senior leadership training for organizations including the World Bank, Lagos State Government, NLNG, Owando Foundation, Charms PLC, Pernod Ricard, Seplat Energy, Axela, VFD Bridge, Ventures Garden Group, FSDH, amongst others. She has received several awards including 2018 Mandela Washington Fellow by US Government, one of 100 Most Inspiring Nigerian Women 2019, Nigerian Leading Coach in 2021, 50 Most Inspiring Women in 2022, Nigeria's 50 Most Inspiring Authors 2023, ABCD Africa's 50 Most Impactful Voices 2023, and one of 100 Women Shaping a Better Africa 2023. DDK, as she's fondly called, is an author of 25 books to date and has spoken across 3 continents to emerging and established leaders, especially in corporate practice. Ladies and gentlemen, join me to make welcome Deola Deji Kurumi.
Are you ready? Are you ready? I'm ready. My notebook is ready. Let's welcome DDK. You know how we do already. Why are the chats even quiet? You know how we do. You ready? It's making sense. The chat is looking like it now. Let's welcome DDK.
Quite excited to be here, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. Some of you have been everywhere with us, just enjoying leadership conversations, and we continue the good business again today. Thank you so much for the great investments that you're making in your transformation. Keeping my eyes on those on YouTube if you see me looking away, but you know, I love how you're very invested. People who joined us for the first time at VLC this year across different locations, one of the things that kept coming through was people sharing feedback with me and saying, what kind of community is that? I met this person and that person, and they're so driven and so passionate about their learning. I'm like, yeah, what do we do? That's just the DDK Army. And for every one of you who's on the call, whether here with us or on YouTube, thank you so much. You give me hope. And I say it often that the biggest blessing I have in the community that we've got going on across Metamorphosis HQ is that you are actually early adopters and buyers into my vision. So when I'm not sure if it's making sense or I should continue, I will just be like, look at all these extraordinary people who believe in this thing, you know. So sometimes I borrow your belief and I keep moving and I say, we can do this thing. So thank you so very much. So very much. I have been working on my 2025 calendar, and I think it's exciting news for those in diaspora. And it's just got me really excited about 2025. And, you know, to work on the calendar, it's then meant that I've had to pray and meditate and, you know, just be like, there are many great things that could be happening, but what is going to be highest impact, especially for the vision that one is discerning and perceiving about the year. So thank God for you, and thank God for all the great things that are ahead of us. Let's take a moment to just voice print our conviction and let us give language to the stirrings of our heart today, wherever you are, whether you're driving, you're at work, maybe you are even on your bed chilling, or you're seated up ready to learn. Whatever posture you're taking, whatever season you're in, today I just want to challenge you to open your heart again to possibilities. This is a tuning and a turning that we always have to do intentionally. That's soul tuning and soul turning in a preferred direction. Right after VLC, I found myself asking all these deep philosophical questions about the meaning of life and if it all counts. And I feel like I have it ever so often every year, maybe like once every quarter. If I've come through a breakthrough event, the next thing I'm wondering is, does it count? Is God pleased? And all these things that happen to me. And I found myself saying that I feel like the visionary life also invites us to turn and to tune our hearts where we want it to go. And I just want you to do that this evening, to affirm that favor is finding you and is fueling your path into great fulfillment. Favor will find you and it will fuel your path into great fulfillment. There are still doors that can open. We've welcomed the Novel November, and it's going to help you close out this last 60 days in such a profound way that the things you thought couldn't happen anymore this year could still happen. The things that are majestic manifestations and major moves for you, and you've been putting in the seed, and you're wondering how much more grounds could still be covered. I want you to declare, I'm covering grounds, I'm taking territories, I'm pushing protocols, and I'm breaking boundaries. I'm taking territories, pushing protocols, and breaking boundaries. I want you to declare that this is my season of attunement, alignment, and assignment. You're still covering grounds. You still have this incredible asset of God's divine favor. You're forever favored, you're permanently preserved, and you are coming into, as well as progressing in your season of attunement, alignment, and assignment, that you are being calibrated and recalibrated into the very center point of God's will for you. And I want you to declare, I'm in step, in line, in order, and in form with God. I want you to declare that I'm stepping into the form and the function that empowers me to rise into my higher calling. In this hour of assignment, I will rise into my higher calling. I will prefer my purpose, and I will not defend dysfunction. I will rise into my higher calling. I will prefer my purpose, and I will not defend dysfunction. I want you to declare that you have a perception and a perspective that will propel you into possibilities and prosperity. I have a perception and a perspective that propels me into possibilities and into prosperity. I will see what I ought to see so that I can be who I ought to be and do what I ought to do to enter into what has my name on it. We're still in the hour of empowerment, endowment, and enthronement. Declare that this is your time for empowerment, endowment, and enthronement. And I want you to take a moment to pray over your heart and to pray for your soul structure, that the man I am within, the woman I am within, is regulated, cleansed, healed, and empowered. I'm going to live in radiance and soul prosperity. I will have an abundance of the right emotions, and I will live my life in beauty and bliss. I will not be overtaken by bitterness, resentment, or offense, but I will let go and release myself into new spaces of hope and heights of healing. I want you to also declare that the people who have been assigned to support your work, your life's calling, your mandate, your healing, and your prosperity will start to gravitate in your direction. And those who are already in your space, you're going to have a proper profiling and a definitive description of these relationships in a way that can help you harness the power that exists within the people in your life. I want you to ask for divine help, that in the remaining days of this year, you are preserved, you are protected and you're kept by God. Your borders will not be compromised. You will dwell in safety and you would have the fullness of divine design. We're still in 2024 and there are things that have been ordained for 2024. So receive those things, that your life is going to welcome the gifts of 2024 because there is no distance and there are no time barriers in the spirit. The things that have still been prepared for you in 2024 are coming into your life. Your joy will multiply. You know what to do. You know where to go, and you know how to make the most of this season that you're in. Now, I want you to pray for your leadership and your leadership capacity, that you're not going to circle the same mountains and be stuck in, the leadership limitations that have weakened your leverage, but that as you go forward till the end of this year, on into 2025, on into the rest of this great decade, you're going to keep growing your leadership in a way that opens doors, that you're going to spot potential, you're going to be a people builder, you're going to set up the life systems and structure that enable you to elevate your habits in a way that release the seed of greatness on your inside. You're going to put your skills and, your strengths to use. You're going to expand your competence, your character, and your capacity. You're going to be an all-round fine human being that really embodies the value systems of the kingdom. And you would carry that essence of a powerful leader that activates possibilities, that fulfills strategic objectives, that creates new opportunities, that pivots where there is no longer an advantage, and is able to scale any resourceful seed into something bigger and greater that allows other people to come in. That's the kind of leader you're going to be. Finally, I really want you to take a moment to pray this particular prayer. I want you to pray that you're going to see a larger dimension of your vision that is large enough to accommodate more people, accommodate more consumers, accommodate more segments to be impacted, accommodate more team members, accommodate more investors, accommodate more recipients of value, that you're going to catch a bigger dimension of that vision. It's going to go stronger in your heart, and you're going to be able to pull in more people to be impacted, to be transformed by the great work that you do. Whether you're a student or you work in a corporate organization and you're building a career, or you run a business, or you're in ministry, or you're a homemaker, or you're in transition, wherever you are in your life right now, I'm praying that you would catch a larger dimension of your vision in a way that it can accommodate more powerful co-laborers and profound partners that can build the work with you. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Thank you so much for voice printing your vision. And well done on Facebook, on YouTube. The comments are very rich and they're coming through in a very exciting way. So proud of each of you. And thank you kindly for praying along and for just taking in this moment. I'm a product of the kingdom of words. I'm a product of this voice printing of vision, and I can't wait actually to share with you what my 2024 has looked like. For some of you who were with me at Visioning 2024, whether at the summit or the retreat, especially at the retreat, I shared some of my goals and some of the things I was looking to execute in the year. And I'm looking back already and feeling like there are a lot of, insights in this whole accomplishment that I want to pass on to my community. I feel like my journals are full and I owe you a masterclass, whether you want it or not. I'm going to drag you into a session because I was careful, a lot more careful. I have been in the last maybe 3 years to really take note of some of the unique insights that I see powering remarkable results and maybe major moves for me. And I definitely want to share that with you 100%. FD is already in, and just let him know that we're here on YouTube, or we're here on Zoom, and we're also on YouTube. Let him know that we're just so excited to have Sir FD with us. And he's also demonstrating such a great degree of commitment, a great degree of integrity, a great degree of love for us by saying, hey, I couldn't make it into the room at the conference, but I owe you a masterclass. And that's exactly why we're here. And we're so grateful. He's traveling a lot till the end of the year. So this is just a perfect way to start November before he's piled up with, his trips and commitments. But thank you so much, sir. We're definitely just beside ourselves with joy having you on this call. And like I shared to my community by email, I was highlighting to you today how the first time that I heard about the GEMSTONE leadership framework was when I was 19 years old in the only university in Nigeria. Yeah. Just swallow it. Swallow it. I'm the one on spotlight. But anyway, we're talking about Obafemi Awolowo University here. So forgive me, don't stress. There are two universities in Nigeria, Obafemi Awolowo University and others. So I went to Obafemi Awolowo University for my first degree, and we had this place that was called Eden, and it was the luxurious escape for future forward leaders like us. As a young student on campus, if you wanted some very nice smelling urban design, cute, retreaty type place that had books on leadership and vision, AC blasting, nice chairs with rug, it was Eden. And you could go there to pray privately, meditate, or grab a book and read. It was so classy. And it was FD who had created this space. Would you believe that? This workspace that I'm telling you, imagine, look, 19, when I was 19, that is over 2 decades ago. By the way, when I was typing it, I wrote over 10 years ago. I said over a decade ago. Then I calculated again. I was like, 19 plus 10. Brethren, you are telling me that in my mind, I thought I was a full-grown woman 20 years ago because I was a serious 19-year-old, like, we're changing the world, first female president of Nigeria. And I was reading all these books, and you borrow them, then you sign in and out. And he had done that more than 2 decades ago. Think about the power of vision and think about the seed you can sow for the next generation. So when I added it correctly, I was like, girl, you've been what? You've been reading books for how many years? So I get back asking myself again, like, are you making a difference? All these investments in your life. But anyway, that's FD. That's FD. FD be creating transgenerational impact for the longest time. And that was first when we heard about GEMSTONE. GEMSTONE, like, what is this thing? And they started breaking down that a generation is going to emerge, a generation that is empowered, motivated, and stirred to operate in their natural excellence. And that is just about when we say something like maybe democratizing leadership or making it just your norm, your everyday life, and if FD is in his 50s and he did that when he was in his 30s, it instantly just affirms what we always teach at Immerse, that legacy isn't something you start in your 60s, right? And that's why within the Future Forward Female framework, you actually have legacy leadership as one of the female leadership competencies that we believe women of African descent have to grow into, whether you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s. And I remember being so not afraid, but I was just racing to do so much before I was 40. I felt like 40 is like you are really elderly, 40. So I was like, look, in my 20s, in my 30s, I want to create meaning, and I wanted to create meaning because I feel like if you create meaning in your 20s and your 30s, you're shattering some deep-seated paradigms. You're really telling the world that this thing can be done. But if you're doing it in your 50s, yeah, what else? Like, you are elderly. But in your 20s, yes, you're making a difference. I don't know if you feel me on that one, on your 30s, you know. And by the time you're then hitting your 40s, you should have lived like two dispensations. Literally, people should be like, how have you done that? Because you're putting yourself ultimately into this space of liquidated leverage. You liquidate that leverage that you carry, and you maximize the energy of youth and, you know, your ability to even just sell youth, to be like, I'm 28, please, and we have this project we're working on. There are scholarships that are available because you're young, or sponsorships, things you can be like, and you have to profile your privilege correctly. And I'm even teaching that separately for female leaders of African descent. This decade has a unique set of advantages in a God movement. You know, he said this is not a women's movement, it's a God movement. It is God who is propelling his daughters into the front line. And you've got to be able to profile your privilege. There are things you can ask for because, well, that multinational of every essence, because they have to be DEI compliant, they need Black representation. And then when you take that access point and you layer competence and credibility on it, then you rise so remarkably. Because that board has to have a woman or two. There's a percentage for that gender balance. Imagine if you were now that credible, competent woman, and then you have that kind of door of opportunity. That's how you've got to think about this phase of our lives, and, you know, and make the most of it. And just heal from feeling like you have to have everything, you know, sort of in a perfect space, that when everything is working, then you're going to go out there and do what you have to do. And the temptation for leaders, you know, when you hear those kind of things as excuses, sometimes the temptation is for you to sell a curriculum of your weakness. But I still don't believe it. I don't think that you have to sell a curriculum of weakness to confirm to people that, see, all these things are happening in my life too, but I'm still making a difference. You know, if you can't see strength and believe in it, and you determine that when you say human being experiencing humanity, they are all strengths and no weakness, and you are all weakness and no strength, well, that is your choice. If you see what I mean. So there's this unhealthy pressure that leaders may feel to abdicate their sense of autonomy and privacy in exchange for perceived vulnerability. And they're saying too much to the audience that can't help them just because they want to say, look, we're weak too, but we're doing something. Don't do it. And, you know, women don't know where to stop. I'm seeing so much on media now. And I'm just like, why? Why do I know this about you? I'm even unwilling to help you, you know, but why do I have this kind of access to this level of detail, you know, about your life? I believe that's for someone, because it's quite a wild digression from what I was saying, but I hope it helps. Great in on our side in WAT, but wherever you're streaming from, I believe that this is going to be great value for you. FD is going to be showing us how to be you, but be at your finest. And this is my entire life's essence. I don't want to be somebody else because it's stressful, but how can I be me and be a great version of me? Doesn't that sound like, you know, a remarkable leadership model, where whatever I'm learning, I've got to be able to situate it into my own original design and my own purpose prototype, so that I'm not sold to social stereotypes. I'm me, but I can't make an excuse for mediocrity by saying that's how I am. You know, how about that's how I am on a steady genius grade, always giving good stuff, you see. So that is how the conversation is looking tonight. For those of you who are already in, I would love to give you some good news, and then I would we'll get a chance to explore it again some more when we come to the end of the session. The good news is that I've got your dates nicely sorted for 3 remarkable events in 2025 that is just always the perfect way to start your year. So if you want to be in the summit, that is just breakthrough conversations about framing 2025 at that first level of engagement, I have your dates now. If you want to be in the retreat, which is now the buffet for senior leaders who are like, look, I'm going deep with this thing, I'm set for you. If you want to go to Singapore with me in February of 2025, I have your dates, and I'm so primed to serve you some exquisite goodness. What I would like to say to you is that I've hit the gold about 2025. I've hit the gold, and it's I started to come into, and God began to show me about 2025. The darkness is going to feel like it will swallow humanity between 2025 and 2027. You know, we started talking about the enigmas, but it looks like we forget. We talked about the enigmas when we got into 2023, and we said, look, it's going to get dark. You see, they're still on the Singapore ochre. What is this ochre? I've tried to pronounce it. It has never worked. So in my mind, I just exit. But since Dolapo is doing it, can we discuss it? Is it ochre? Is it ochre? What is it? That's how Wahala was seated alone. They christened her Wahala. She's like, someone needs to unmute. I think Dolapo herself has to unmute. Is it occur? Because you can't take okay and make it, or is it okra? Because let's know where we're really going. Okay. But he started to talk about, we began to explore this conversation around enigmas and the nature of darkness and obscenities that would almost even feel like Temitope says, okay, with emphasis is occur. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I can't even survive it. My tongue is like, don't do that. And we can't wish away the darkness. We can't even pray away the darkness. But the people of light need to understand how that realm operates. It's a realm and it has its own operation. And it's just been unpacked into an entire blueprint that is exciting me and blowing my mind. So I'm just so eager to unpack that. And sometime in the month, I'm going to actually share only with my community what that blueprint looks like in terms of its full graphic. And I believe that it can already even get you receiving some revelation. That in itself is a kind of gift. It's so powerful what is being opened up to me about the power of realms. That since you can't wish away or even pray away the darkness, you ought to live in a civilization. There's a different civilization, and you have to live in it. And it's from within that realm that you can sort of, create alternative realities and superior realities. And I have now fully seen the contemporary breakdown of what that realm looks like. It's just also cute and so good. And I will be looking forward to sharing it with you. So we've got our dates. And by the middle of this month, I actually show you my entire calendar for 2025, actively the first half, but would also highlight some annual dates that already exist, e.g. VLC and co. Okay, so when we're done with the masterclass, I'll be back to give you some visuals and also highlight some very gorgeous benefits and features that sit in this events for you in January and February. We also have opened early bird leading on to the next 5 weeks. It's the longest, most generous early bird. So from today on to the 9th of November of December for the summit, and 15th of December for the retreat in Lagos and live streamed, you can start to plan gradually and say, okay, I want to come into this program, and I want you to be aspirational. If you've been at the summit, plan to be at the retreat, and if you're getting into the retreat, you naturally have access to the summit, all of that. So I will give you more details before we're done today, but I just want you to, okay. Thank you, Dolapo. I just want you to start to give some thought to the investments that you make. My final, snippet for you before we go on into Sir Fela Durotoye's session is that yesterday I had the penultimate, because we still have
No, Lady Temitope, it's not your network. I actually thought it was mine too. I think Didi, his network is a bit unstable. Okay. Once CDK is back, we will get on. I think she is now.
Okido, thank you for your patience. I don't know what I said last that you heard, but I started to highlight how I had a penultimate contracting conversation with my penultimate something with my coach and lecturer at Harvard. I had talked to you at VLC about our executive women's leadership, program. And it's really, really exciting, So watch out, please, for the survey that I have for you, because we want to ensure we're curating what is highest value for you. I'm going to be asking a few questions to help me know how to prioritize the competencies that you want to focus on. We're looking at sometime mid-year, June, July for it. So if I have you sharing with me your own goals and the leadership competencies you're seeking to grow, I can definitely curate a very remarkable women in leadership program for you. But it's already very exciting from where we are. And I'm hopeful that you'll be able to be part of this year, 2025 or 2026. But what I'd like to say to you when you start to see our programs for 2025 is to take a very intentional posture and do not negotiate yourself out of any of the programs. Just ask yourself, what is it going to take? And is it now, or could it be, sometime later? But keep that kind of open mind that allows you just press into those opportunities that are ahead of us. We will be going on to receive FD. I'm going to confirm if he's in. Okay. So bring FD up. I don't know if he'd like to, have an interview session first or teach directly first. But when he comes up, we will be at his beck and call in terms of what his preference looks like. Okay, we'll go to his bio now. Thank you kindly.
Fela Durotoye is an executive coach, leadership expert, global speaker, and nation builder. He is the founder CEO of the GEMSTONE Group. Fela is highly regarded as one of Africa's leading executive coaches. He's an official member of the Forbes Coaching Council, an invitation-only community for senior-level executives in the global coaching industry. Fela Durotoye is an accomplished author, who has several of his best-selling books published on Amazon. Fela graduated from Obafemi Awolowo University with a Bachelor's of Science degree in Computer Science with Economics, and later earned a master's degree in business administration from the same institution. He is also an alumnus of the Kennedy School of Government Executive Education program of the prestigious Harvard University. Fela has also attended the High Impact Leadership for a Better Society program at the prestigious Yale University. He is also a certified leadership coach of the John Maxwell team. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Fela Durotoye.
Oh, wow. Hello, 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 hello. Good evening, good afternoon, I guess I don't know if there's any good morning anywhere there, wherever across the world you're at. Hello, 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 and hello to my favorite person, my favorite person of all time, right? Everybody knows who my favorite person of all time is, isn't it? Hi, DDK. Yeah, hello, everybody.
Good evening, FD.
So say, oh, I don't even let me start calling names now because I think I'm going to get into trouble. God bless you guys. And I want to just say thank you. When I was thinking about this, I said, this is truly a constellation of stars. That's what this is. It's more than just a master, a post-retreat. This is a constellation of bright, shining stars from all across the world. And you are all here. And I just want to say I am so blessed and so privileged to be here. And to also say thank you and also apologize again. I know the first time that I was supposed to be there for your 40th birthday, my body was doing chiki, and then for the 10th anniversary of the Immerse coaching company, I was stuck at the airport in Abuja. And that's in part why we're here today. It's my joy to be here. I always love to keep my promises. It hurts me when I don't. One of the things that I don't know whether we would have that conversation later on is really talking about the essence of who you are as a foundation for who you show the world that you are. In a sense, your impression reflects in your expression. And so you've got to be able to make sure that that is clear. And for those who are people of integrity, your impression and your expression are usually one and the same. That's what I want you to always remember. And one of the things that happens is that even people who, let me put it this way, life will throw things at you sometimes that will cause you to not necessarily be able to live up to even your own standards. But usually those things don't define you except when you start doing it consistently. Then we now know that there is a problem, right? So if you ever break a promise, that doesn't make you someone who is not worthy of being called a person of integrity. If it hurts you that you broke a promise, if you were able to say, listen, I'm so sorry I did that. So I want you to please understand that occurrences don't define you. Consistency does. Consistency does. We're all imperfect, and so occurrences will give validation to your imperfection, but consistency will give validation to your character. I want you to please note that. Right. So guys, I am glad to be here. I am grateful to be here. I mean, gosh, listening to just the fact that this, first of all, I didn't get to sing happy birthday, so I'm going to still sing my happy birthday to anybody else can join me wherever you are. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Very, 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 look, I think that in the end, if there was ever going to be, I mean, we know the Old Testament, we know the New Testament. If there was ever going to be a Now Testament, there are certain Deborahs that books will be written about them. And I think that one of the Deborahs of our time is definitely DDK. And I celebrate you. I honor you. I love you deeply. I love you and Pastor Deji so deeply. You guys know how much I love you. So let's get to some work here, right? You know, somebody once said, if you want to survive, plant crops. If you want to succeed, plant trees. If you ever want to be significant, plant leaders. Leaders are like everything else, like especially like fruits. You can plant the seed of leadership into people, and it will have the capacity to create according to its own kind. And this was something I learned about maybe, about 20, 25 years ago. Plant leaders. Because everything the scripture says will create according to its own kind. My question really, and I hope that this is not in any way, it's not designed to make you feel uncomfortable, but my question is, what kind are you? And the only way we can know your kind is to look at what kind are you reproducing? Who's inspired by you? Who is becoming a better version of themselves simply because they like you and they're trying to be like you? Because real leaders don't try to create imitations in others. They just try to create better versions of others. So I don't need anybody to try to be like me. I don't need anybody to speak like me, talk like me, act like me, think like me. I just want that whatever it is that I am, if someone liked it, hopefully it should inspire them to be a better version of themselves. And I think that ultimately greatness produces greatness. In fact, let me put it in another way. Greatness produces greater greatness. And I'm so honored, so joyful, so blessed, so grateful. When I hear the kind of stories that I hear about what has happened in, whether it's through Eden or one of those things, I am so proud and so grateful. So thank you so much. All right, guys, we have quite a bit of work to do. And I hear that the time is not all that we have. Oh, fantastic. So guys, can everybody just let me know that you're seeing what I'm seeing? Can you see my slide there? Can you see my slide there? Right? Just let me know. Yes, you can. Fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to be speaking to you, but can you see me on the side? Can you see me from time to time? Okay, yes, you can. All right, cool. All right, lovely, lovely, lovely. All right. I want to jump right into the conversation today, because what I've been asked is to kind of like, share what is the GEMSTONE framework to developing leaders who are empowered, motivated, stirred to operate with natural excellence. And I really wanted to start by saying, the foundation of our understanding of leadership development and the GEMSTONE model that we use starts with a very simple ideology that we call the be, do, have. It's a philosophy. It's a very simple philosophy. But what it usually says is that, think about it this way. If you look at the outer circle and it says, what you have in life, what you want in life, what you wish to have, whether they're material things, whether they're skill sets, whether they're behavioral attributes, whether they are, whatever it is, whatever you want in life is going to be tied to what you do. Let me put it this way. The greatest miracle of humanity is the ability to find the link between what you do and what you get. And I know that may sound like, what, Fela? Oh, yeah. I want you to understand that when humankind was given the highest of its abilities to lead, to change things, to operate in the image and likeness of God, God said to himself, he didn't say to mankind, he didn't say to Noah, he says, as long as earth remains, seed, time, and harvest shall not cease. I want somebody to please note that. Seed, time, and harvest shall not cease. Of course, there are a couple of other things that we're not also going to cease, but this is the most important one: seed, time, and harvest. Now, most times when you ask people, what do you think is the pattern? And if anybody can please help me put that, if you still can show me in the comment section, what do you think is the pattern? What's the first thing that needs to happen? I said seed, time, and harvest shall not cease. What's the first thing that needs to happen? Anybody, please. Anybody? Seed, time, and harvest shall not. So the first thing is what? Seed. The second thing is what? Time. And then the third one is what? Harvest. Okay, thank you very much. So you can say 1 seed, 2 time, 3 harvest. Well, what I've come to do is to try and do, and I hope I don't get to shake too much of the table here, but I've come to say that no, that we're wrong. We're all wrong. That's not what God was saying in that thing. And the timing, divine timing, and I would say, yeah, when I realized it myself, I mean, have you ever seen anybody who I would say, you're building a house, and somebody says to you, please, can you tell me about this house that you're building? How many rooms will it have? And you say, well, I don't know. And let's see where cement finishes. Wherever the cement last source, that's where we'll be. Nobody does that. If you see somebody who's going to the farm and you say, well, what are you going to plant? Say, I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens, which seed we have when we get there. No. Think about it this way. It always starts with the end in mind. It always starts with the end in mind. In a sense, what God says is, I want you to desire your harvest, determine your seed, and deliver over time. Can somebody say that? I want you to desire your harvest, then determine the seed that produces it, and then deliver that over time. And basically what we're trying to say here is very simple. I need you to get this right. That harvest must first be desired before you can know what seed will produce it. Because if you don't, then you would live life in a reactionary fashion. But if you start with the harvest, then you're going to be strategic. You're going to be strategic. And what God was saying is very simple. He says, listen, you will never plant tomato and reap potato. Never, as long as the earth remains. You will never, ever plant pineapple and reap apple. It will never happen. God was saying, I am putting myself on the line. This is an oath I'm making with myself. So what that means is very simple. I have to desire my outcome. I have to determine my input, and then I have to stay consistent. And so essentially the same thing is happening here. The philosophy says, what do I want to have? And most people will think that what must I do is the next thing. And it is true. But the only thing that you can find is that you can do certain things sporadically, you can do certain things occasionally, and anything you do occasionally will not give you the results that you desire. Only the things you do consistently will do so. And so we found out that the reason why most people have this hit and miss is because they are doing things that is not necessarily a reflection of who they are. Therefore, it is not natural to their essence. Is somebody still catching me here? So in reality, it's not what I do that produces what I have. It's what I do consistently that produces what I have sustainably. Can somebody please help me write that down? What I do consistently produces what I have sustainably. In other words, I will have the capacity to sustain my desired outcome, my desired result, my desired change, only when I build a lifestyle out of what I do. I mean, I'm sure that somebody here can attest to the fact that, we've seen people who either for whatever the good reason is, decided that, listen, I want to lose 2 dress sizes. I want to make sure that I am, I want to be fit for that wedding dress. And what happens is they decide to go on a crash diet. And because they are doing something, right, a crash diet, they have 2 dress sizes less. The problem is that they can't sustain that diet because it's not yet a lifestyle. And so we realize that the only thing you can do consistently are the things that reflect who you are originally, the original you. So technically speaking, what I'm saying here is, so that we don't waste too much time on this, it is who you be that will determine what you do effortlessly, that will determine what you do effectively, that will determine what you do consistently. Because this is who I am. And what I do consistently is what produces what I have sustainably. So this is how it works, guys. So in our understanding, we recognize that if you're going to be a leader who can be trusted, if you're going to be a leader who will be able to leave a legacy behind, then what you will have must be sustainable. And what you do must be consistent. And that will be propelled by who you are or what you be, who you be. So think about it this way. Ultimately, the challenge is, who am I? Can somebody help me write that down? Who am I? Who I am will determine what I do and how I do, and what I do and how I do it will determine what I have. And some of the things I'm talking about here, you can also find it in James Clear's book called The Atomic Habits. One of the things that James was talking about in The Atomic Habits was that it is more important for you to define yourself. Because once you define yourself within a particular definition, then you are going to have the ability to reproduce that behavior naturally. Your identity is created. So, guys, just so that we now put this to the next level, how then do I determine who I be? Well, we understand from the scriptures that as a man thinketh in his heart, and man, please let us be clear, man is not gender, man is an agenda. Man is the agenda of the image and likeness of God represented on earth to do the will of God and take the kingdoms of this world and give them to our God. So man was made male and female from the onset. So man, if you remember, let us make man and let them, male and female. Male and female. So man in this case is not particularly a gender. So, it could be man, could be male or female. But this is my point though. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Or I wanted to put it in a really poor English, but I hope that somebody will never forget it. So he be. So he be. As a man thinketh in his heart. So the question, therefore, is, what I have, listen to this, consists sustainably, not just that I was able to touch $1 million, $1 million, or $1 million in whatever currency it is that is my desire once because I got a contract or I won a lottery. If I'm going to be a millionaire, it's not going to be because I have $1 million or $1 million or £1 million or £1 million in whatever your desired currency is. It's going to be because I am first. How I am will determine what I do consistently, and that will determine what I see sustainably. So if you want to create a generation of leaders, what you are going to have to do is to go and say to yourself, hey, okay, let's even go back one step. Why and how did the most blessed continent on earth become the home to the poorest people on earth? If somebody can be able to help me, how could the the continent that gave the world alphabets? How could the continent that hosted the first university on earth, how could that continent be the residence for the least educated people on earth? What happened to us? Well, remember, what we have today is a function of not what we started with. We may have done some things right, but something happened to who we are. And that was partly what has changed us. Now, what is very interesting is if you look across the continent of Africa, and even if you look beyond the continent and start to look into whether it's in America, you look at the black suburbs or the places where you would see there's a consistency. Even in America, the poorest places, the poorest suburbs are still blacks. It's like as though there's something that we need to change, but it is not what, listen to me, guys, it's not what we have we need to change. It's who we are that needs to change so that what we do can produce a different what we have. I hope somebody is getting this. Ask someone, especially yourself, who am I? Who am I? So now the thinking of the heart is this thing that we call values. See? Values. And when people say to me, Fela, what are values, right? I typically say your values are your compass, your moral compass, your internal compass that helps you to be able to find your way based on where you want to be. And what's interesting about your values is that your values are the things that define for you what is right and what is wrong. Your values are the things that define for you what is good and what is bad. Your values are the things that define for you what is right, what is possible, and what is impossible. In fact, most of the time, it is your values that will say to you, no, sorry, I cannot. Thus far and no more. And one of the things that I like to say is that if you want to know the worth of a person, don't go towards their bank account. The price of a human being is the point of offer at which what was wrong becomes all right. Can I say that again? You want to know what a person's, when they say, well, what's your price? A human being's price is the level or the point of offer where what was wrong before the offer becomes all right after the offer. That is the worth of a person. At what point in time did the thing you said cannot be done all of a sudden become actually, maybe there might be a way that we can find around it? Oh, that was your price. At what point was what you said, never, I can never, God forbid, become active? It is just because, at what point in time? What was the offer that was made? For some people, it's just 3 digits. $100 can get them to change their mind. For some people, $5,000 can be just right. For some people, it has to be in the millions. For some people, maybe $1 billion. But my question is this: what are the things that are most important to you? Your values are those things that are invaluable to you. They are the things that are important to you. They are the things that define what your true essence is. Can you please help me put that out? Your values define what your true essence is. And if I want to know what your values are, can I quickly tell you where you'll find out? Look at what you spend your time and your money on. And I know somebody's going to say, ouch. Whatever you spend your time and your money on are your values. Now, please listen to me. What you spend your money on are the lower end of your values. What you spend your time on are the higher end of your values. That's the highest end of the spectrum. Because with time, you really can't buy back With money, you can borrow again, you can do, but with time is, so check, what do you spend your time on? And one of the ways that you can always get some kind of a feedback mechanism is ask the people who know you the best to tell you what your values are. I challenge you tonight. Just ask them. Ask the people, your best friend. Just say, write down 5, what do you think my values are? And then you make sure you have done your own set of values before then, and then find a way to check between the guys who know you the best. Maybe it's your family members, maybe it's your friends, maybe it's your colleagues at work, maybe it's, but you check what their feedback is and check what it was that you thought you wrote down. Let me put it this way. If you have an alignment, you're really a person of integrity. If there is a misalignment, you need to literally work on how you show up in the world. And remember that ultimately your values will determine your value. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. What we found out is that as a man thinketh in his heart, which is his value system, begin to affect his decisions about what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad, what is possible and what is not. And that decision-making system begins to find expression through the words and the actions. Remember, I said your expression, or let me put it this way, your expression is a reflection of your impression. And so your inner man begins to, in a sense, shape the words and the actions that the world sees as your outer man. And what happens is that over time, as you become consistent, those words and actions that are at first very intentional will remain intentional, but after some time, they will be easier for you to do. And that's really what happens when you build habits. Habits are things you do intentionally, but they have become easier to do. Like when you decide that, listen, I want to wake up and pray. I want to wake up 30 minutes earlier than I typically wake up, and I want to begin to pray. And when you start it, it's going to be, you are doing it intentionally, and it's going to be very difficult. But at some point in time, it will become easier. And so what you find out is that what habits actually do is habits make whatever you are trying to make into a habit, it makes it easier for you to do it. The second thing we found out about habits is that habits are not only get easier over time, you become better at that habit over time. Now, as time progresses and you become better at your habits, 2 things happen. Number one, not only does it become easier, but you become less conscious. In other words, you are no longer as intentional about it because it has now become a lifestyle. So at one point in time, yes, autopilot, I love that, Busola. At one point in time, you needed the alarm to wake you up. And after some time, you realize that you actually started to wake up just before the alarm. And then there comes a point in time when if you don't even set the alarm, you will wake up. And that becomes the point at which you are no longer even doing it. Like, for instance, how many people remember how they drive anymore? Who tells you how to change the gear? Who tells you when to press the brake? You press now you are driving and you are literally on the phone and you are chatting with somebody and you are listening to music. Why? Because driving has gone from this conscious effort. It has now become second nature to you. And that's where it's become a lifestyle. Now, what we found out about your lifestyle, though, is that usually because we don't reside in isolation, your lifestyle will soon begin to influence the lifestyle of all the other people within your circle of influence. Yes, I love it, Franca. Becomes unconscious competence. And guess what? At the point where it begins to influence the people around you, all of a sudden, your values are now, in a sense, becoming a culture, not only for you, but for everyone within your circle of influence. So you realize that, you know, mostly we see this with football. Whenever a particular team is not doing well, they don't need to change more than one person. Who do they change? Who do they change? Can anybody remember? If in football, whenever a team is, they just change the coach. They just change the coach. Once you change the coach, why? Because the coach has the widest circle or sphere of influence over the team. And the values of the coach will soon become the decisions of the coach, whether in placing people on the pitch, it will become the words of inspiration, the actions that are taken, and it will soon become habits, and the habits will become a lifestyle for the team, and it will become a culture for the team. People, like I live in a house where I've got 3 boys. 2 of them are Man U fans, or you know, and then the other one is a Liverpool fan. So you can imagine that in my home, Manchester City is hated. They hate Manchester City. And I've literally been having, you know, I feel for my sons, because what I say to them is, you know, once is an occurrence, twice is a coincidence, 3 times is a pattern, 4 times is a culture. Guys, why hate a culture? You know, Elizabeth says Manchester City deserves to be hated. No, Manchester City deserves to be studied. How can you win 7 times in one? I mean, do you know each season has 38 games, and you win 7 seasons in one league? They deserve to be studied. You cannot learn from what you despise. That's why other teams are not yet producing the outcomes. You can't learn from what you despise. Listen, I always say to people, admire excellence so that you can attract the grace that produces it. Guys, I'm not making a chance for, I know some people are already getting upset now. Man City is FD. See, I don't have to love Man City, but I have to study their culture. Why? Because we found out that culture is what produces results. I want you to remember that. I don't want you to ever forget it. Culture produces results. Culture produces results. Now, many people say we have to hold on to our culture. And I say, no. Maybe what you meant was you have to hold on to tradition. Tradition and culture are 2 different things. So tradition is the culture of the past that produced the results of today. That's what tradition is. If you don't like the results of today, what you need to do is to change the culture of today so that you can produce the desired results for tomorrow. So anything that you don't like in your life, ask yourself what culture is producing it. You don't like your bank account, check your financial culture. Just check it. If you can find what is it that I do consistently, you will realize what it is that is producing. Results are nothing but reflections of the seeds of the past that have been delivered over time. There's nothing mystical to results. God said, you will never and should never allow the future to catch you by surprise. There will never come a time when you plant tomato and reap potato. So if you don't like what you have, let's literally change what you sow. Now, when your results are consistent enough to produce an expectation, and those expectations are not dashed, then your results will become a reputation. In other words, you only build a reputation when people expect you to do something because of past results, and you do exactly what they expected you to do. All of a sudden, it means that you only build reputation by trust. And that trust is not always good or bad. It can be good or bad. People can trust that you will never be at work at a particular time. People people can trust that. Listen, I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying. You are not a latecomer because you came late one day. Your reputation is built on consistency. People must be able to set out of your consistently, they set an expectation, and from that expectation, you have constantly met up to that expectation, and now, bam, they say, oh, this is a person of integrity. This is a person of excellence. It comes from consistency. And it is only when your reputation has been consistent enough that it becomes a brand. And a brand is the place where people trust you so much. It goes into, like we just said, unconscious trust. Like, let me put it this way. How many people have ever tasted Coke from a can? Anybody? You've tasted Coke from a can. Did you? Anybody? Can I see? Tasted Coke from a can. Am I still there? Yes? Titilayo? Abimbola? Yes? Well, I don't know when you did it, but I can tell you something. Most people that I know, they don't taste cocoa. Once they pop that lid and it does, what they do is they drink Coke. They don't taste it. Meaning, what you just see the person literally pop. Now, you are drinking a black liquid from a red can, and you did not even bother to taste it to find out. Listen, what you're saying is, no. I trust this drink. You don't taste Coke. You drink Coke. Why? Because Coke is the one drink that tastes the same. Classic Coke tastes the same across most of the countries of the world. Fanta may not taste the same. Sprite may not taste the same. But Coke always tastes the same. Now, let me put it this way so that we get this right. It is your brand that commands the value of attraction, what people will pay to be associated with you, what people will pay to engage. So put it in a way that I would like you to just remember this. Your values determine your decisions determine your actions and your words, and that soon forms into your habit, your lifestyle. Shay, please go back again. And that becomes your culture, and your culture becomes your results, and your results become your reputation becomes your brand, and your brand commands value. So I don't know whether you can see what I'm trying to show you. It means ultimately your values will determine your value. Your values will determine your value. Meaning that if you put two people together, if they start work on the same day, in the next 5 years, sometimes less, one of them is probably going to be at least a step higher than the other, will be earning more than the other. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying, because ultimately, the value that you command is a reflection of the values that you carry on the inside. Now, remember, we said who you be is your values. What you have is the value. And so now I've shown you how that link between be, do, have actually happens. It's never by surprise. It's never by surprise. So one of the things that we found is that if we could define certain values and make sure that they are framed in a way that people can repeat them and it can guide their behavior, then we can actually predict their outcomes. Meaning that if you want to have a happy home, what kind of values can we program a person with that will drive their behavior, regardless of who they're married to, their own behavior, and if their behavior truly becomes a culture, as the scripture says, that through your own behavior your husband can be changed or your wife can be changed, then tentatively I can tell you what it is that will produce a happy home. we've been able to find out that there are certain results like, whether it is performance results, high performance, outstanding results. What is the behavior that they put in place, and what values drive that behavior? What we found out, just to say this, is three things. You got to define the values, you got to describe the behavior, and then you got to find and develop a model that will infuse the values in the hearts of the people. I'm going to say that again. So the three things that we do in GEMSTONE: we had to define the values that we believed were going to create outstanding results. There were 5 values that we found a way to define. Number 1, exemplary. Number 2, expertise. Number 3, execution. Number 4, excellence. And number 5, excitement. We say these values, if you have them, 5 of those values, can anybody help me put it in the comment section? Exemplary. Number 2, expertise. Number 3, execution. The capacity to translate your expertise into action. Number 4, excellence, the outcome of a wonderfully excellently executed expertise. And then number 5, excitement. And we found out that every time you have these 5 values, right, there is nothing in the world that you want that it will not deliver to you. It doesn't exist. But now the question is, remember, values have to turn into behavior over time for it to turn into results. And so we came up with 10 behavioral patterns that can become commitments that will express those 5 values. 10 behavioral patterns. The first thing that we realized was, number 1, you must make a positive impact on everyone we meet, or, and everywhere we go. If we want to be outstanding people of excellence, if we want to be outstanding, I'm sharing with you the behavior that produces the results that we desire. We must make a positive impact on everyone we meet and everywhere we go. What does that mean? What does positive impact mean? Well, it simply means that everyone you meet, your words and your actions should make them a better version of themselves than before you met them. That's what positive impact means. Impact is the difference between before and after. Can you please put that out somewhere? Impact is the difference between before and after. So positive impact means that every time you look at the after of an encounter, that after is a better version of the thing before that encounter. I tell a story of that around this that I never knew. I didn't even understand it. But many years ago, when I didn't have a car and I was working in an organization called Phillips Consulting, I used to go to the office by bus, public transportation. And the place where I used to have to take the bus to the office was a place called Falomo in Lagos Island, right? Now, of course, I didn't realize it, but I was one of the, because it was important to me to get to the office on time. I never, ever wanted to be late. I just never wanted to be late. So one of the things I would do is, and then I hate traffic. I think I need to put that in. So because I hate traffic and I wanted to be on time, it meant that I always had to leave early. I once heard someone say that you are never late because of traffic. You're only late because of when you left. It's when you left your origination that determines when you're late. So if you blame traffic, you cannot blame something that you have no control over. You can't do that. Anything that you have no control over that is consistent and something that everybody experiences can never explain your results. I'm going to say that again. Your results are not tied to the things you can't control. Your results are only tied to the things you can control. So if you don't want to get to a place late, leave early. Leave where you are early. You will never get to where you're going late. But let me move forward. So what I noticed was most of the time, by the time I get to the bus, Usually I am one of the first people to get into the bus, and then I have to wait, but I will sit down in front with the driver, and then I wait until the bus fills up. It fills up about the same time, and we move, and I always get to work on time. On this particular day, remember I said whatever you do occasionally doesn't matter as much as what you do consistently. On this particular day, it turned out that I left home a little later because of rain, which I couldn't control. And so by the time I got to the bus, I literally got to the bus stop just before the bus would move. What was interesting though, guys, listen to this. What was interesting though, was that that by the time I got to the place where the bus had been filled, but the front seats were still empty. So as I got to the front, to the bus, the conductor, as we call them in Nigeria, opened the door for me, the front door, and got me to sit in front. Now, by this time, everybody had already been seated a little bit cramped in the back. Guys, listen to this. So as soon as I got in, the driver puts the car in gear and starts to drive off. And one guy from behind starts to holler and say, "What nonsense? What is this? I was one of the first people to come, and I wanted to sit in front. The driver told me that I could not sit in front. Now, so this man that has just come, did he come before us? He didn't come before us now." So I didn't know what was going on. I had no clue. So I was shocked and embarrassed because I didn't ask to be sat in front. I was cool with sitting at the back. I never told anybody to keep a seat for me in front. This man kept on raking until about 5, maybe 7 minutes into the drive. The driver packed the bus in anger and told the guy, "Come down if you want to come down." The guy says, "Why should I come down? I'm saying this man." He said, "No. Do you know what this man has done for me?" Now I'm looking surprised. I'm thinking, what have I done for him? He said, "This man, for the last 1.5 years, has been teaching me how to run my business. Because of this man, I have bought 2 more buses. So every time he's coming in the morning, it's business lecture for me." I said, "Oh my God, I never knew." But just me being me, I engaged the guy and saying, "How are things? How's your family?" And then we start knowing. I did not know that I started to teach the guy about, okay, so how far have you gone? But because I was always the first to get to the bus, I would just engage the guy whilst we're waiting. I did not know. So this is my point, guys. You can make a positive impact out of a lifestyle that you become, it's even unconscious for you. People will be giving testimonies about the impact that you've had on their lives, and guess what? You won't even know when you said it. People will be quoting your words and you'll be saying, "I said that," because it's coming out of the abundance of the heart. Is somebody understanding what I'm saying? So if we want to be the kind of people that we need to be, if we want to have the kind of things we want to have, we're going to have to ask ourselves, how am I going to make a positive impact on everyone I meet and everywhere I go? Let's move next. The second thing that we found out is that there is the second behavior is that we must become solution providers and not parts of the problem to be solved. And I can promise you, if you're not solving a problem, you'll probably be part of the people that they are considering how to, somebody else is looking at you as part of the problem. So the question is, every time you drop something, every time you go to the table, did you push the chair back? Did you make a positive impact on that table? Did you leave anything that needed for somebody else to come and clean? Whenever you go to the bathroom, did you leave the bathroom with stains on the porcelain? Did you flush? Because if you use the bathroom and you didn't flush, then you are not a solution provider. If you drop something on the floor for somebody else to come and pick, you are not a solution provider. You are creating a problem to be solved. What we found out is the people who will do great things and mighty things, they are solution providers. The third one is, and I think this is the core of what true leadership is that you must be a role model worthy of emulation. And everyone who lives according to this behavioral pattern of being the example of what they hope to find in others, everyone who does that is a leader. Your influence will spread. Like Debola Dijikonlumi's influence is spreading all across the continent, beyond generations, because she's a role model worthy of emulation. And remember what I said at the beginning, you are a true leader when people who emulate you become better versions of themselves. That's what makes you a true leader. Number 4, we found out that the people who become outstanding are people who have mastered the art of becoming their best in all that they do, particularly the things that they're naturally good at. Let me put it this way. When you work hard on what you're not good at, you will become good at it. When you work hard at something you're naturally good at, you'll become great at it. The difference between the good and the great is that they are playing to their strengths. If you want to be outstanding in anything, what you want to do is to work at something that you are naturally good at. But always remember that being the best or bringing your best to what you do means that you have to have the ability to do it as best as you can with what you have right where you are. The fifth one that we found out is a behavioral pattern is to say, look, you must do the right thing at all times, regardless of who's doing the wrong thing. This requires courage, guys. This requires courage. Especially in a world where people have now begun to forget what was right and what is wrong and choosing what was right, to the point now where people have started to call what was wrong all right. And the word all right is actually a combination of 2 words. It's altered right. It used to be wrong. Now it's altered right. To the point where now it's outrightly, brazenly saying that what was wrong is the right way to go about it, and what was right means that you're a mumu, you're an idiot, and people can see and justify the unjustifiable, excuse the inexcusable. But those who will sustainably shape the future must do the right thing at all times. Can you make a mistake from time to time? Yes. But if you're consistently doing the right thing, you will probably end up doing all right. The 5th one, or the 6th one is you must value time and make the best use of it. One of the things we found out is that the people who who will achieve sustainable greatness in life understand that life is time and time is life, and that in a sense, every time you waste your time, you're committing suicide. Every time you waste somebody else's time, you're committing murder. That time is what you give in exchange for your desire. That everything you want is waiting for you to exchange time for it. You want to play piano? Well, how much time are you willing to give to it? We've heard things around the 10,000 hour rule, that if you commit 10,000 hours to the practice of anything, you will become better than 95% of the rest of the world at that thing. You enter into the 5% realm of greatness. Just to let you know, 10,000 hours essentially is about 18 minutes a day for about 10 years. So it's just amazing. Remember consistency. The next thing, we found out that those who will do incredible things, grow their influence, they're people who care and show respect through their words and their actions. To care means to be concerned about the well-being of a thing, a place, or person. And respect simply means the art of bestowing honor on others. That's what it means. And then number 8, the people who deliberately, intentionally build greatness, not by chance, but by happenstance, right? They are they consciously build a great legacy starting now, today, and every day, recognizing that your legacy is the memorial in the hearts of people long after they've met you, they've encountered you, sometimes long after you're gone. In fact, I think it was one of the times that I was on this that I said something I'd never said before, that your legacy is the immortal part of your human essence. Your legacy is the immortal part of your human essence. Your legacy does not expire because it is stored in the hearts of men. And we're told that God has hidden eternity in our hearts. So your legacy is what people remember when your name shows up, when your face shows up, or when your memory shows up. Some people's legacy is a padlock to anybody else that has their name. Some other people's legacy is a key that opens doors of opportunity to the people who carry their name. Remember that your legacy is what is left after the encounter of your impact. So when you meet people and you impact them, what is left is the legacy that you're carrying. Some people live go through schools and do nothing whilst they're in school, such that they leave no legacy behind, not in any lecturer, not in any of their roommates. The nil legacy is the worst of all legacies. Nil legacy is what happens when somebody leaves a country and the country does not know you have left. You arrive in another country, they don't know you have arrived. No, nothing worth writing home about. Leaders not only build good legacies, they build great legacies that opens doors for generations to come. The ninth one is, if you're going to be sustainably great, then you've got to be able to live a life of integrity and honor. Integrity means, listen to this, is from the word integer, one, whole. Your thoughts, your words, and your actions, meaning that you are speaking, what you're saying is what you mean, and you are intending to do what you said you will do. So a person of integrity is a promise keeper. A person of integrity does not have a cupboard because they don't have skeletons. A person of integrity does not have to deny that they gave what they gave. They don't have to deny that they received what they collected. A person of integrity does not have to deny that they said what they said. They are never they never are disappointed by other people who quote them. Oh, can I say that again? A person of integrity is never disappointed by somebody else who quotes you. What you want, so what that means is very simple. Please, it means that you should not bestow anyone with the burden of secrecy. Don't tell somebody something you don't want them to tell somebody else. You should be quotable. And if you're not going to be quotable, be silent. At least they can quote your silence. Did you know that silence is quotable? Silence is quotable. If you don't want it repeated, then don't say it. But if I said I was going to slap you and I slap you, then clearly that is integrity because I kept my word. But was it honorable? Now, what we found out is that those who act with integrity and honor are the people that are most trusted in the world. And lastly, and this we found out is almost like a culmination of all the first 9. So if you make a positive impact on everyone you meet and everywhere you go, if you're a solution provider and not a part of the problem to be solved, if you're a role model worthy of emulation, if you are your best in all you do, particularly the things you're naturally good at, if you do the right thing at all times, regardless of who's doing the wrong thing, if you make if you value time and make the best use of it, if you care and show respect through your words and your actions, if you consciously build a great legacy starting now, today, and every day, if you live a life of integrity and honor, then you will naturally make your family, your nation, and your God proud. What we found is that without fail, anyone who attempts to live by these values not only lives the best version of their lives, they become the best versions of themselves. And we also found out that because The people who will see their results, admire their results and say, hey, what is it that makes this person the way they are? Well, and soon what happens is their sphere of influence begins to grow and more people begin to become like them. So in GEMSTONE, essentially how we define leadership is the ability, listen to this, guys, is the ability to bring out the best in yourself and in others. This usually happens because you have the ability to inspire yourself and influence others to find ways to solve problems that are difficult, that have been there, and create outcomes that everybody desires, everybody likes. Your results are amazing. But just simply by living these values, we found out that you become the best version of yourself simply by living these values. So what we've done with GEMSTONE is to literally say, okay, now we found the DNA of great leadership. And what we found about this DNA is that it actually it's incredible. In all the years, almost 20 years that we've had this, that we've been developing this now, we've never found anybody that says this violates my religious beliefs. This violates my traditional beliefs. This violates my gender. No. We found out that in a way, everyone is willing to live by these values if they were exposed to it. So we had to now find that to say, okay, now hear this. Repetition enhances retention. And so to be able to get people to imbibe this, it means they're going to have to repeat it until it comes out of their mouth and gets to their ears, from their ears to their memory, from their memory to their heart. It is as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. So you've got to be able to find, and it takes time to get there. But what we found out is this, guys, is that you have to, anything you want to repeat, you have to put it in what is called a repeatable framework or a repeatable format. So what we did was we were able to codify it and put it into a card. And from 2006, I have been repeating this card almost every day. Now, usually, but what I found out is that anybody who does this, usually by the 10th day of repeating it, you almost don't need the card because you have now mastered, but every day. Now, that's not all. My wife and I repeat this almost every day. For a while, we used to repeat it every day. Do you know what happened? One of my sons said to Tara one day, she said, you know, that one of his friends told him in school that his mom and his dad are always fighting. And he didn't understand how that was possible. Now, what do you mean your mom and your dad are always fighting? He says, don't your parents fight? And the guy said, my son said, I've never heard them fight. I've never heard them argue. Because what we found out, listen, guys, is that every crisis in a relationship comes from conflict in their values. What is important to one is not as important to another. So there's conflict. But when you guys say these things together, when you build it into your DNA together, then what happens is you are able to mirror each other, even as distinct and as you are. So what we did was we created this thing called the personal creed, and the personal creed just says, and I'll just read it out. And this is how it's played out now. I hereby commit to live a lifestyle of leadership and excellence, and to do all within my power to bring out the best in me and in others. And to this end, I will make a positive impact on everyone I meet and everywhere I go. I will be a solution provider and not a part of the problem to be solved. I will be a role model worthy of emulation. I will be my best in all I do, particularly the things I'm naturally good at. I will do the right thing at all times, regardless of who's doing the wrong thing. I will value time and make the best use of it. I will care and show respect to all through my words and my actions. I will consciously build a great legacy starting now, today, and every day. I will live a life of integrity and honor, and I will make my family, my nation, and my God proud. So help me God. Because we realize that you will need God's help for this. Listen to me. I just realized that once we got the DNA right, the next thing now is how do we make sure that people can not only imbibe it, but in a sense, they can develop themselves on it. So we had to create a model for them to be able to, people to download this. And if you're willing to download this, please go to www.gemstoneng.net/creed. And we have only 3 things we tell you to do, especially over a period of 10 days. But if you then, remember, the more consistent you are, the more it will affect your results. Say it consistently at the same time every day. If you can say it in the morning and say it at night. Then number 2, share it with at least 10 people that are the most important to you. 10 people that you love and you care about deeply. And then try every time to ask yourself, what am I going to do to show these values in my days into today? And usually what that means is you ask yourself 4 questions. What am I going to start doing to reflect these values more? What am I going to stop doing because of these values that I have accepted so deeply into my soul? What am I going to do more simply because I hold these values dear? And what am I going to do less? So I called it SSML. SSML, start, stop, more, less. And you're going to anchor whatever you start to a particular behavioral statement that you want. So because I want to, be my best in all that I do, what am I going to start doing to become better and better at what I do? What am I going to stop doing that is stopping me from being the best or being my best? We never asked anybody to be the best. We only asked them to be their best. Because whenever you tell people be the best, what they're going to be doing is spending time trying to drag somebody else down so that they can be. No, I don't need you to be better than anybody. That's the beginning of pride. I'm only saying be the best version of who you are. Be your best, that's all. And every day you wake up as your best, and then you get the benefit of learning so that you can be, you wake up your best self, you go to bed your better self. You wake up your best self, you go to bed your better self. You bring your best self to work, to the day, and you rest your better self at night. So let's just quickly begin to see how to take this to some kind of. So what we've been doing with Gemstone is we can now created programming that has helped to take each one of these things. We've created videos that are circulating. We've created programs that you can get to, every week you kind of like highlight one particular value behavior, and then we get, if you go on we are Gemstone, you will see quotes, you will see statistics, you will see stories, you will see things that just help you to drive that home. All right. Let me just so the idea is that we've created a leadership network that has really a mandate to help people live excellently and lead excellently. And it's what Debola is doing so brilliantly with the Immerse coaching platform, or the Immerse Leadership Network. All right. It's helping people to be the best version of themselves so they can live excellently and lead excellently. All right. Now, all of these things that I've shared are great. Okay. They are really amazing. Because what we've done with the network is literally say, okay, look, how do you teach people how to achieve professional excellence, whether it's in their career, their business, whether their social impact, founders, or they're even in government, or it's even students, and we're seeing how to help them achieve what you call academic excellence. But the point that I'm making here is this, guys, listen to this. you can attain success, but your success can become despised, as it happened to me. I was once traveling to speak a few years ago at the largest conference that I've ever spoken on, the largest at that time, the leadership conference that I had ever spoken on in the United States. I was invited from Nigeria, and I was going to be the only non-Caucasian, the only Black person that was going to be speaking on that stage. It was this was the affirmation of the fact that not only had I arrived, that I had arrived close to the top. Cut the long story short, I was, flying through, making a connecting flight through Gatwick Airport, and it turns out that I was flying upper class, frequent flyer, all the works. And you know how it is, upper class passengers have a priority boarding, and so we won priority boarding role, and there were just maybe 10, 15, I'm not sure how many people in that priority boarding. But what then happened was that I had noticed this couple that were just amazing. I mean, they had this crown of silver hair. It was just the man and the woman just looked like clean money. They look like old, clean, sweet money. I kept on saying to myself, when I grow up, Tara and I, this is how I want us to look like. Sweet money. And there were a few passengers ahead of me. I was closer to the end of the premium boarding. And so what I noticed that as soon as they got to the lady who was just supposed to check their boarding pass, look at their ID, and just, say to them, have a nice flight, all of a sudden, I noticed that they asked the man and the woman to step aside. I was a bit anxious about what's going on. But anyway, a few other people passed by, and then it got to my turn. And as soon as the lady saw my passport, my green Nigerian passport, she just put it on top of the other passports and told me to please step aside. So now I knew what I had in common with the couple. And so she passed all the other people, and then she took the lady's passport, brought out something from her breast pocket, looked at the passport, and then gave it to her and said, "Oh, please have a nice flight." The lady collected it nicely. I told you, absolutely debonair people. They did the same thing with the man. And of course, when it got to me, I'm sorry, I still need some work that God is still doing in my life. I used to be an area boy of some sort. So when she gave me my passport, when I noticed that she was looking with her magnifying glass at my American visa, a visa I had used about 5 times in less than 2 years. And I was looking at her and thinking to myself, I don't understand. What are you trying to do with your magnifying glass that US immigration and border control that have stamped me in? I mean, it was insane. And so when she gave me my passport, I folded my hands and she said, "Your passport, sir." And I kept my hands and I said, "What are you doing?" She said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just doing my job." I said, "What is your job?" She said, "Sir, I'm just verifying your visa that it is authentic." I said, "I don't understand. I'm an upper class passenger. I am a gold card member of your of your frequent flyers, right? I mean, I've used this visa about 5 times. What are you doing?" And she said to me, "Sir, I meant no harm. We've just been told that every Nigerian passport has to be vetted before we can." So I collected my passport humbly, and long and short of it was, when I got on the plane, I sent out 2 text messages. Well, at that time, I tweeted 2 tweets that went viral. And the first tweet that I sent was, "Ordinary citizens of a great nation will forever be treated better than successful citizens of a failing nation." That was the first tweet that went viral. The second tweet that went viral essentially said, "Individual success in the midst of collective failure will forever be despised. And the idea was very simple to say, listen, guys, no matter how successful you are, you can never really out-succeed your nation. Because your passport, when you're in your country, you can think about which tribe you are from, which, whatever the tribes that we are all from in different countries. Once you leave the shores of your nation, nobody cares about your tribe. They only think of one tribe, and that's your national tribe. You are not in Nigeria, you're not Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba. None of those things matter. You are a Nigerian. And if Nigeria is underperforming and yet you are supposedly super performing, people will believe that your super performance is not in spite of Nigeria. In fact, they will say Nigeria's underperformance is because of your super performance, meaning that maybe the reason why you are able to afford an upper class ticket is because of corruption. They will despise your success because your success is not common to all. I hope somebody just got me here. They will despise your success if your success is not common to all. So great nations have commonality of success. There's a standard of living that is admirable. In other words, whether you are rich or not, everyone is attaining a particular level of standard of living. Now, guys, this was the day that it occurred to me that until leadership development translates into national excellence, we're wasting time. We're wasting time. You cannot out-succeed your nation. And please note, even when you decide to run away from your country, one of the things that we found out is that you can leave a country, but you can't stop loving the country. And every country you love and leave behind ultimately causes pain in your heart. Ultimately, you can enjoy where you are, but you are always still carrying the pain of where you are. As long as where you have left behind is no longer an option, especially for your next generation, then you will find out that it's just, so even just being in diaspora does not solve the problem for you. And then there's something that makes people have to still ask you, where are you from? I don't know whether anybody has ever heard that question. Where are you from? And you say, no, I am an American citizen. They say, yes, but where are you from? Where are you from? I was watching television on, a few years ago in the US. And one day there was a gentleman who had tried to board a flight with a boarding pass that he had used before on a similar place, and what he was hoping, he had adjusted something around the dates so that the dates will look like it was the date for that particular, and anyway, cut the long story short, the man was caught. And what happened that was really incredible was that when they were going to report it on the news, they said an American citizen of Nigerian descent. An American citizen of Nigerian descent attempted to board a plane with and I was so upset. I said, I don't understand. What is the Nigerian descent? This guy is an American. He's an American. Why are you putting Nigerian descent inside this matter now? And you know what I found out? What they were doing was distancing that behavior from the DNA of their national ethos. What they were saying is, this guy has literally the citizenship of America, but his DNA is not American. This behavior is un-American. So one of the things that I've always wanted to know is, when you actually say we are Nigerians or we are Africans, what does it mean? I know that we can all say we are Africans mostly, maybe on this platform, I know there might be a few people that are not, but what does it even mean to be African? What does it mean to be Nigerian? Because if we can't define who we are, remember, be will define do and will define have. You want respect, you've got to be able to define who you are as a people. So what they were saying was that behavior was, in a sense, a Nigerian behavior. But you see, we can't say anything about it because we had not yet defined what a Nigerian behavior was. If we had defined a Nigerian behavior, what they should have said was that behavior is un-Nigerian. Because Nigerians are people who make a positive impact on everyone they meet and everywhere they go. Nigerians are people who are solution providers and not parts of the problem to be solved. Nigerians are people who are role models worthy of emulation. Nigerians are people who be their best in all they do, particularly things they're naturally good at. Nigerians are people who do the right thing at all times, regardless of who is doing the wrong thing. You see, if we had defined for the world who we are, then the world would have set expectations based on our behavior. And when somebody else behaves out of character, they would not call that person a Nigerian. They would say, maybe of an American citizen. Bam. This is the same thing that has to happen for Africa. We have to be able to define ourselves as one people. And we define that by the values that we hold dear. The values that we hold dear. And so basically, what we found out is you have to think to yourself, how do we then make this happen? And for us, GEMSTONE actually stands for a generation that is empowered, motivated, and stirred to operate with natural excellence, like DDK said. And so we asked ourselves the question, this can't just be a random behavior. We have to have a generational behavior that defines us. What's a generation? Let me just quickly put it this way. A generation is a group of people who share four things in common. Number one, they share a common sense of purpose, meaning this is why we are alive for such a time as this. Number two, they share a common sense of mission. Number three, they share a common sense of vision. And number four, they share a common set of values. So generations are not about age. They're about what stage of purpose do we as a people share in common? Do we accept that we are on a mission to do something together? Each one of us doing what we can to bring that mission to pass. Do we accept that the picture of success is the same? It's what we're looking for. And do we accept these values as the way we will behave on the journey, on our journey to where we're going? Every time you see a common set of purpose, mission, vision, and values, you're speaking to a generation. All right? And one of the things that happens is that whenever you have actually locked in a generation, you will notice that they are usually one people. They speak regardless of where they come from, whether they're male, female, whether it doesn't matter what their status are, as long as they have a similar sense of purpose, mission, vision, and values, they are one people. And regardless of what language they speak with one voice. And because they have a common vision, they are able to come out with a common goal. Now, we are told in the scriptures that if as one people speaking with one voice, they've begun to do this, nothing they imagine shall be impossible for them. So if you want to speak to a generation that has nothing impossible, that can attain anything, that can do anything, just get them to be one people, get them to speak with one voice, get them to have a similar vision, and get them to work towards the same goal. But remember, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So for them to be one people, they have to have the same values, the same common behavior. So let me show you an example of a generation that really worked. In Singapore, right? And this is a picture of Singapore. It's as many of you know, it's a city-state. Singapore has nothing. They don't have any resources, human resources, natural resources whatsoever. And this is a picture that was taken in Singapore on their Independence Day on the 9th of August, 1965, right? Singapore, for many people, it used to be a British base or settlement, in the Southeast Asia. And I hear some people are going to Singapore in February. DDK, I hope you are taking me along. No problem. But anyway, let's see how it goes. Cut the long story short, for those of you who are going to Singapore, this was what it looked like on their Independence Day. And so what then happened was they came back to this place something like 46 years later in one lifetime. And they came to the same exact spot, and this was what had happened. So you can see the same water. They came to the exact spot where that picture was taken. Now, Shay, if you can just help me show the contrast now. So you can see from the same exact location, the same space. This was what one generation was able to accomplish. And go to the next slide, Shay. Clearly, you see that this is not an improvement. This is a generation of transformation. They have same purpose, same mission, same vision, same values. Guess what? These guys are Chinese, they're Indian, they're different tribes that form Malays, and yet they came together as one people, speaking with one voice, and they were able to bring about change. Can we just look at that change? Change, Shay. You can see that there are two kinds of change. There's improvement and transformation. Improvement is where things become better, but it still looks like the past. Transformation is where you can't even see anything in what it used to be. That's not the only one. If you look at Dubai is another very interesting, well, just let's quickly go. Shay, next slide, please. This was Dubai in 1990. What I've just showed you here is the Dubai World Trade Center, 38-story buildings high. It's the tallest building in Dubai in 1990. The road in front of this building is what is known today as the Sheikh Zayed Road. Sheikh Zayed Road is the main road in Dubai. In 1990, most of us were born at that time, in 1990. This happened in our lifetime. I want you to just see what had happened in 13 years from the same angle. Guys, that building in the white circle, that is the World Trade Center, 38-story buildings, 38 stories high building. But the question is, where were all these other buildings 13 years before? Well, there were possibilities in the hearts of people who had not yet become a generation. But what happened was that a particular leader emerged. And what that leader did, his name was Sheikh Rashid Al Maktoum, right? And what he did, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, okay? And what he did was he started to say to the people, we can transform. And he wrote a book called My Vision. If anybody hasn't read it, it's the best book, it's the best leadership book I've ever read next to the scriptures, next to the Bible. And one of the things he says in that book is that it's called My Vision, Challenges on the Race to Excellence. But basically what he says in that book is Dubai or the United Arab Emirates, well, Dubai in particular, has only three things: sun, sand, and sea. And so basically Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum said, everything they did, they don't have oil. Their neighbors or their cousins are the ones with the oil. That's Abu Dhabi. They don't have oil, but they had something and they had a vision. And they were able to take that purpose and say, we can transform. So just look at it this way, right? I mean, in 20 years later, show what most people know today as Dubai. This is in 20 years. Next slide, please. This is it. Guys, this is with sun, sand, and sea. But when a generation emerges that decides that they're going to transform. So this is not just about one good person, this has now become a national value system. That DNA, that behavior. I mean, I went to Dubai a few years ago and we went shopping. And when I came out I had put my bags in the car, my shopping bags in the boot of the car. When I came out, I somehow forgot. I left my bags. I think I was trying to manage my boys at that time, or whatever it was. I got distracted, left the bags in the car, and the driver drove off. And so I frantically, because I didn't know what the driver's name, I didn't have the address, I frantically panicked, went to the front desk, and the gentleman, with so much composure and confidence, said to me, "Sir, don't worry. Your bags are going to be safe." He said, "This is Dubai." Hey! He said, "Don't worry. You will get your bags." I said, "But how will he know? What if he has carried other people?" He said, "Sir, he will track you. I promise you, this is Dubai." Dubai has a crime rate of 0.4%. 0.4. In the book, my vision, the ruler of Dubai says, if you ever have to look behind you, it cannot be for anything you should be scared of. It's for you to look at the beautiful skyline. That's the only reason you have to look behind. You see, this didn't happen by accident. They defined what the behavior of the people of Dubai, and the rest of the United Arab Emirates started to emulate them. And they became better versions of themselves. Does somebody understand what I'm saying? I love the way that Nelson Mandela says it. He says, sometimes it falls upon a generation to be great. And you can be that great generation, but you have a responsibility to let your greatness blossom, And when you think about it, you think about what we've been through together as Africans. Some guys in 1885 were sat down and they had this thing called the Berlin Conference, right? In 1885. And yet, when they literally partitioned in over a 3-month period, they sat down in a room, 27 of them, and partitioned what is called the map of Africa. Clearly, what then happened was, we found out that the reason why they were able to do it was simply because they believed that they could make a difference. 27 of them from different countries, about 7 countries, came up and decided to partition a continent. We were one people. There was no one different countries. We were one people. And then they came in and divided us and made us start thinking that we were different people, and started calling some Ghanaians and calling some Nigerians and before we knew it, we started to behave separately. But let me quickly say to you that sometime in 1945, a generation emerged, and that generation was called the generation of liberation. And what happened was, in 1945, over a 6-day period, 79 leaders, young leaders, gathered together in a hotel in Manchester. And guess what? They decided that even though they were born into a continent, that they were second-class citizens. These guys were very young. Chief Obafemi Awolowo was one of these guys here. Kwame Nkrumah was there. Jomo Kenyatta was there. Julius Nyerere was there. Obafemi Awolowo was born in 1909. In 1945, he was 36 years old. 36 years old. These guys were not thinking of how to get a job. They were thinking of how to fix a continent. They didn't have any money. They didn't have any pedigree, but they were thinking of how to fix a continent. But because they had one purpose, to liberate, because they had a mission to gain self-governance, because they had a vision of independence, and they created a similar set of values, they were one people speaking with one voice. They were acting with one vision and one goal. And by 1977, just about 32 years later, 50 of the African countries had already gained independence. Nothing is impossible to a people. So the question is, when you look at this Africa today, and Shea, I don't know whether I can go quickly to that, you ask yourself, what do you see here? And for most people, they think that this is a continent that is submerging. And that's what's causing people to want to run away. That's what's causing them to want to flee, to run. Millions of Africans leaving the continent, looking for whatever it is that can drive them. And the question you ask is, are they fleeing or are they seeking opportunities? And what we find out is that not only are they running from a blessed continent, but they're actually running to a brighter future. They're looking for opportunity and hope. They're looking for better life. They're looking for a better life today, and they're thinking of a brighter future for tomorrow. It's the prospects of today and the promise of tomorrow that is driving them. And they're looking at all of this from the experiences of their past and the expectations of the places they're going. These guys they are borrowing money that they will not invest in their own country, but they will borrow money to be able to go and make an investment in another country. These are the things that, they can't see any hope in their own countries or their continent. Their heart has left. And the interesting thing you find is that the heart and the money are inseparable. Guys, one of the things we find out is that whenever people have left a nation, three things happen. The first one is that people no longer invest in any country that their heart has left. The moment they're trying to relocate, they no longer invest in that nation. The second thing, of course, is that they convert all of their assets into liquid cash and they carry it to go and start a new life. What that does is that it weakens their currencies. So I'll just give you a very quick one as I begin to wrap up now. In 1971, when I was born, the Nigerian pound exchange for $3 US, you needed literally $300 to buy 100 Nigerian pounds. And then something started to happen. By 1976, when I was 5 years old, all of a sudden you needed $1.33 to buy 1 naira, meaning you needed $133 to get 100 naira. But somehow, just over 30 years, things had started going so badly with our values that the currency had started to devalue. The people were living in hordes. There was no more investment in the land, capital flight, and the devaluation of currency. And before we knew it, in 30 years, now you needed $133 naira to get $1. 10 years later, you needed 331 naira to get $1. And if you can look at it this way, can you see what I'm showing you? Can anybody see something that is interesting there? The question is, what are we going to hand over to our children? 2026 is around the corner. As at today, $1 is exchanging for 1,700 naira. 1,700 naira to buy $1. Question is, by 2026, what would that exchange rate be? And in part, it is because people are fleeing Africa. They are fleeing Nigeria. They're looking for opportunities. And they're running away from the most blessed continent, the most blessed country. Well, long story cut short, clearly, we have to do something different. Sheyi, can you please just bring me back to end screen, end screen, end screen. End screen share, Sheyi. End screen share, please. Guys, I want you to understand that there is a call, a clarion call that is being made to a new generation. We've got to define for ourselves, what will this generation be remembered by? I want you to please understand that no generation will ever be held to account by what it inherited from its parents. But every generation will always be responsible and held accountable for what it gives to the next generation. I'm grateful for all of the leadership development that is taking place on this platform. But in the end, guys, we've got to find a way to make that work for us together as a people. What we've done with GEMSTONE is to say, yeah, good, let's first define who we are together, but let's not just stop there. We've got to create the platforms where people can receive programs, but also they can engage with projects. And as I bring my thoughts to a close, I really didn't want to end on a sober reflection. But DDK was saying that just looking at what's going on, The next 2 to 3 years may be challenging, but it depends on how we rise. And not only the things that we do, but more importantly, the things that we inspire others to do. When you live your best life, the chances are you will inspire others to do the same. When you commit to projects, the chances are, guess what? Other people will commit to work with you. So guys, the GEMSTONE model is essentially leadership development for national development. It's saying, let's build leaders who will not only live excellently, but they will lead and influence excellently. They will commit to projects that they can. And this is the essence of what it is that we are doing, because a generation has got to emerge. And I believe that we are the next generation of transformation. I believe it. I believe it with all our heart, with all my heart. And you guys are in the right place. You are the visionary leaders who see a completely different possibility from what exists in our current reality. But the quality of your lifestyle will determine how many people commit not only their time, their life, their resources, their intellect to the actualization of your vision, but especially when that vision is large enough for them to see the benefit and the prospect of a brighter future. And so I'm challenging you today, if you can, please download those 10 lifestyle statements, that personal creed, and see how you can recite it morning and night for 10 days. Share it with 10 people. It's free. Share it with 10 people. And if you then find out that there is any particular change in your lifestyle that is coming out of that, please, do a 1-minute video and post it out there. If you wish, you can put we are GEMSTONE. If you wish, you can put at Fela Durotoye, just tag me. You please put at deola Dejikonomi, put there, you must just populate it. Let's see what changes have been happening in your life. But remember, the changes that happen in your life are great, but the changes that happen through your life are greater. And that's where we have to be as leaders. We've got to be able to bring out the best in ourselves and others. We've got to be able to find a way to inspire ourselves by the problems that we see and be able to see through the eyes of vision, possibilities that will get others to commit themselves and their lives to this. I want to close with a 5-minute video. And I know that we're done time, but just, Shay, if you can I want to show you guys what the possibilities are from the rearview mirror. In a sense, the video you're about to see is a video that was done in 1961. This was 9 months after Nigeria became an independent nation. And you would see the Prime Minister of Nigeria, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, visiting the United States. Now, I want you to please put this in context. 9 months into a new nation being born, we didn't even have our own presidential jet. We had to be, our leaders had to be flown in on the jet of the United States government, right? But I want you to see, now please listen to this. This was 2 years before Martin Luther King had a dream. So as at this time, segregation was still going on in the US. Black people could not sit down to have ice cream with white people in an ice cream parlor, as at when this video that you're about to watch was shown. So the question is, what is the thing that would have made people, Americans who looked down on Americans that had our skin tone, yet they treated us differently? Because they found an effective generation that had shared purpose, shared mission, shared vision, and values that the world believed was going to change, literally going to emerge. So I just want you to watch this and then
July 25th, 1961. America is waiting for the arrival in Washington of the Prime Minister of the Federation of Nigeria, Alhaji Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. Prime Minister Balewa is making an official visit to America at the invitation of the President of the United States, John F. Kennedy. Waiting at the airport to greet him are Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson, Secretary of State Dean Rusk, Mr. Joseph Palmer, the American Ambassador to Nigeria, and other high-ranking American officials. Accompanying the Prime Minister is Minister of Foreign Affairs Wachuku, Ambassador Udochi, and Minister Shagari and Benson, and other key members of the Nigerian government.
Mr. Prime Minister, I am honored to welcome you and the distinguished members of your party to the United States. This welcome is only the beginning. You will find as you travel through this country a very deep and genuine interest in the exciting developments which are taking place in your country and in Africa today.
I am very pleased to be with you in Washington today, and I look forward to the week which we are to spend among you. I have no doubt that the American people will receive us with all the kindness that they all receive strangers. This is just a brief reply to your very warm address of welcome. Thank you.
An official motorcade now conveys Prime Minister Balewa to the center of Washington. Many friendly Americans are waiting to welcome Sir Abubakar to his home in Washington. During his stay in the American capital, the distinguished visitor will reside at the Blair House, the special residence for guests of the American president. Just across the street from the Blair House is the White House, where President Kennedy awaits Prime Minister Balewa. The two leaders are meeting to discuss matters of mutual and international interest. In a joint communique summarizing the outcome of their deliberations, they reaffirm their support for the principle of self-determination for dependent peoples and their unalterable opposition to racial discrimination under any name or in any guise. President Kennedy expressed his pleasure at the success of the Monrovia Conference and congratulated the Prime Minister on his constructive contribution. The two leaders affirmed their confidence that their exchange of views had strengthened the bonds of friendship between their two countries. The next stop for Sir Abubakar is a memorial to one of America's best-loved presidents, Abraham Lincoln. The Lincoln Memorial is a goal for every visitor to the American capital. Tourists from all over the world are drawn by a reverence for the man known by all men as the great emancipator. As they stand before the statue of Lincoln, the Prime Minister and his party remember the words in which Lincoln addressed his countrymen. He called upon them to do all which may achieve and cherish a just and lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations. Sir Abubakar and his party see a monument to America's first president, George Washington, as they leave the Lincoln Memorial. A group of children proudly display the placard which Prime Minister Balewa has autographed for them.
In closing, I just want you to remember that one of the greatest gifts that God gave us was that as long as the earth remains, seed, time, and harvest shall never cease. And that every time we want to change our harvest, all we need to do is to change our seed. And you are doing that. You are in the right place. We just need to multiply the number of leaders that we have, leaders of excellence. And the one way you can do so is for you to live excellently so that you can influence and impact others as you find sustainable, profitable ways to solve the problems that exist on this continent. Every problem that exists in Africa, and especially, I would say, in Nigeria, is actually an opportunity in disguise, but it takes a solution provider to be able to unmask that opportunity. So guys, I mean, I know some of you some people are crying, some people are, but listen to this. Remember it, write it down. Write it down. Our past has no right to be the custodian of our best possibilities. Our past has no right to be the custodian of our best possibilities. The gift that God has given us as humankind is to say, if it has happened in the past, greater, brighter is possible in the future. That's why you saw it. And it only takes us to arise in each and every one of our own issues. So we're starting a program called Arise, deola, launching that in November this year, and it's called Arise Nigeria, and there's actually Arise Africa, and then there's Arise Nigeria. And Arise Africa essentially is saying, how do we take these 10 values all to all the African nations so that we as one people can define one day and say, this is who we are as Africans. And we're doing the same thing in Nigeria. And hopefully by next year, we should have 1 million people that are committed to not only living by those values, but actually, solving problems on the continent. And so that's what I'm committing my life to. It's building the people that will build not only the nation of Nigeria, but will build each of the nations until we have a nation called Africa, because the rest of the world is looking at us as one nation. When you go out to Africa, to America, they will say, oh, you're from Africa. Anywhere else, they don't look at us as Nigerian, Ghanaian. They all look at us as one people, which is exactly who we are. So guys, it's up to us now. It's up to us. And I want to say thank you so much, guys, for having me today. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, there was nowhere in the whole agenda or expectation for today that we ever anticipated it would have this many-sided, multi-variegated effect on not just the soul, but the spirit, the vision, the enthusiasm, the optimism. It's many things. Personally, I feel like, let me say it in the way I really feel it. I feel like this masterclass is God rewarding me for my obedience, especially with this year. And the demand it's been high demand, And just a few days ago, I was saying, you know that for all the things that you're calling me to do next year and in the decade, I need a rare degree of light to stream into my heart. And I was just praying about that. And I couldn't stop writing today. I was hearing you and I was hearing more things coming through your words and even your spirit. And on a personal level, you know, when I visited and you started to prophesy and make very, very bold, audacious declarations, I started hearing your voice again, and things were just coming together. That's the way I describe it. And I felt it so strong in my heart, like God was rewarding me in a sense, even for hosting VLC. This year's conference wasn't about trying to make a profit, you know, and that's exactly what we did. We prioritized a different kind of profit and emergence that we trust we will witness in the next 3 to 5 years of the finest 1% most influential leaders that will emerge out of the continent for the continent and for global economies. So I feel like this was a special gift for me, but I know that that sounds too like personal because everybody's feeling the same way. We can't even thank you, and it feels like you operate from an endless gusher. If we wanted to have you stay with us till 12 midnight, this thing would end, you know. And by the time it was about 9 p.m., I got a sense that FD has said to himself, whatever happens, I must hit this particular point with these people before we close out. And God really took us there. We got there. I feel like I don't feel like this one, I understand it. There were many profound things, but the high point for me was when you said, we can't convene people around programs. We can't only convene around programs. We've done that so well, and we have a literal army of awakened minds, sharpened vision, and the right ethos to go out there and make a difference. But we have to construct opportunities that create outlets for that impact. So we've got to move toward projects. So we will be ambassadors of Arise Africa and Arise Nigeria, and we want to do, and we have to. And we're just so grateful for you, FD. Thank you for everything that you represent. I remember putting on Instagram the day I came out of when I visited you the most recently, and I said, I feel like I met God in a person. And I know it must have sounded maybe a lot for someone, but what I can affirm concerning the creed from GEMSTONE is that if you start to declare it and you start to shape your thinking by it, and you habitually practice this levels of the ethos, you're going to reveal divinity in humanity. That's what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
That's what's going to happen. Absolutely.
You know, one of the things that
I'm telling you, people are.
It's actually the 10 values of Christ. If you actually look at it, everywhere he went, he was doing good, so he was, and to the he says, well, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, for he has anointed me. And if you look at it, it was always, to setting liberty to the captive, giving sight to the blind. It was solution provider. We are all called to be like him. So we're role models, worthy of emulation. Everything about it is so. And last thing, do you know that when Tara and I started raising our kids on this, by the time they got to 5 years old, each one of them was already reciting the values. 2 years ago, Tara and I we were invited by the school, that their alma mater. All of them went through the same school, Chrisland High School, and then Chrisland pre-degree for 2 of them. And the proprietress of Chrisland invited Tara and I to a what do you call it, a valedictory service that was not, my kids were not even there. This is for you. And they said they wanted to present us with an award. I said, for what? And they said, well, they wanted to give us an award that for the first time in 46 years, one family produced 3 head boys. One family produced 3 head boys. Now in Chrisland High School, You can't be a head boy because you want to be a head boy. You have to be nominated by students, and then the teachers will vote. So there is a voting process. So you can't be head boy because you want to be. All your classmates have to agree that this is the person we want to. For one of my sons, he had 87%. There were 4 guys that were nominated. He had 87% of the votes. What happened? Because they were living by some. Now, a few weeks ago, I went to speak at a retreat, and I gave this thing as just sharing. And one lady raised her hand and said, please, I have to say something. So said, Fela, about 10, 15 years ago, you came to Port Harcourt and you shared these values. I took them to heart. I'm a single mother raising 2 kids. She said, I raised my 2 kids on those 10 values. We recited it every morning and every night. When they say, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me. She said, this is what Fela does. I'm going to do it. She said, just to let you know, my son became head boy in his school. My daughter became head girl in her school. She said, this thing works. She said, I don't know how the world is going to get it. I had a meeting in the United States State Department, and the guy who has been in charge of the Nigerian desk for 21 years, when he saw this card, said to me, finally, we found it. I said, found what? He said, for 21 years, we've been asking ourselves, what's going to fix this country? He said, this is it. Guys, and it's not about me, guys. I'm only saying now, like you said, Debola, we've got to then take this, whatever project you are working on, Africa is waiting for it. The world is waiting for it. Yeah, Christiana, Chrissy, every one of you, Florence, every one of you, the project you are working on is shaping Africa, and it's shaping the way the world sees Africa, even if you're doing it from any part of the world. I want you to understand, this is not about your success. This is not about your success. We are the generation of transformation. So God bless you guys. God bless you. Thank you.
Would you let FD know what this means for you? Would you just, before we close out, would you appreciate him? And I want you to share with me 1 to 3 most remarkable insights that you want to go do something about, that hit you and you're like, that's my answer, and I'm going to do something. Put that out for us. We're also going to download the chats and share with FD, but while he's in here for the next few minutes, let's get a sense of what you're taking and what you're going to do with it. This is beyond.
Something,
yes.
One of the things I wish is that when you do download it, please take 3 of those things, just any 3, and ask yourself, what must I start? What must I stop? What do I do more? And do this. That's it. So that means creating specific behavioral change.
Yes. Yes. And everybody can ask that question because everybody has something they can get better at. Everyone has something they have to exit from their lives. Everyone has something they can begin to do. So it's just remarkable if you take that action-oriented essence with what you want to do next. This has been so good. Thank you, FD. Thank you, FD. This could itself have been a conference. Who agrees? Like a full-on leadership, everything. And isn't it a blessing? And I said that to you if you remember. It's a blessing of a virtual summit or virtual masterclass. If FD was in the room on that day, we wouldn't have been able to go this deep. You see? So everything just works out, and this is precious. We're going to put it together and ensure that we leave it as open source access so that many more leaders are just interacting with this light. We will get the GEMSTONE Creed card in digital form and share with our community. Download my family has been using the creed, my children, and that's why I was screaming, you have to get your children as well, because it works and it has a self-regulatory mechanism. It's as though you can't keep saying you're a child of God to this generation. You can't keep saying that, because the question becomes, how does a child of God respond as a year 8 student in a school? You know, that's a question. So it feels to me like when they started to think about, I started to mentor them on the creed and they started to declare it, they got an answer for what does it mean to be a child of God at school, in my community, my family, as an elder sister, a younger brother. And it just became really remarkable, the way that it's further shaping their leadership. Okay, before we leave tonight, it's been a really, really great evening. Who is ready for some juice? You want me to share with you what I promised, and we gradually start to close out for the day. I need to know if I don't see that eagerness, I'm just going to keep quiet about the good news I have for you. No, I won't, actually. I keep my word. I'm a gemstone leader. I'm going to show you what I promised to show you. I'm going to share my screen shortly. It should take us maybe about 5 to 7 minutes, and we will be on our way. Okay? So thank you so much for being here today and for sharing these precious and truly remarkable moments with us. I'm sharing screen. And we will start to close out. Okay, thank you. I love how Lady Folake said, please share. I'm ready for it. I'm still here. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. So that for those of us who live on the WAT side, we can start to get in bed. Okay. Over here it is. Let me know if you can see my screen, and we'll start off with our joyful happy birthday celebration for NDB, who is just our blessing from God. It's her birthday today, and I want you to let her know she's really special, and you can do it long after today, you know, on Instagram, by an email to her on her WhatsApp, you know, chat. Just let's reach out and let her know she's truly been a gift. She's our general manager at Immerse Coaching Company. She's also recently had a baby who is my godson, and it's just a really beautiful season for her, for us as well, sharing in the joy of her success and prosperity and progress. And we're praying and standing in faith that this is going to be truly a season of significance where she's covered by grace, she's favored by God, and she's propelled into new levels of purpose and performance. So please ensure that you let her know that we do love her, and, you know, keep spreading the joy. The next key event I would love to highlight to you is around, is the Ole Konvalo Visionary Leadership Coaching Certification. It's happening in about 10 days, and it's our last cohort for the year. We've had 2 cohorts, maybe 14. I'm not certain the number. They could put it up for me. Between 12 and 14 members of the alumni in those 2 cohorts, as are now always a small exclusive group. I became certified in 2021. It was after I became certified that I received the clarity about my framework for Visionary Compass Accelerator Program, which is on its 3rd cohort since 2021. It's my highest ticket coaching program. And so far, we've worked with maybe about 150 visionaries. So it's in itself a breakthrough experience that I had. Dr. Oleg was with us in the UK. So those of us who were at VLC UK can affirm that this is a remarkable thought leader. He's considered the number one management thinker and executive coach for the most iconic brands and CEOs across the world, including Fortune 50 and Fortune 100 US organizations, as well as, you know, the corporate America, Silicon Valley. This is a definite investment that you ought to consider if you're a senior leader, or you're aspiring into executive leadership, or you want to be a coach, an executive coach for leaders. You want to check it out. I've got a discount that I'm keeping open till next week, Wednesday, that allows our people to pay $3,150. If you're looking out for an instrumental payment plan, even though it's not sort of open at VCAP, but I can veto it on your behalf. We had 1 or 2 persons who did that to get in, and it became their own dream come true. So just do me a direct email if that's something you're exploring, not a WhatsApp chat that could be sitting for longer, an email, and we'll see what we can work out for you to be able to get in. What I must also say is I can't confirm how the fees will look in 2025. So if it's something you're capable of exploring, whether instrumentally or in full at this time, you know, I encourage that you give it a go. For our Immerse family who are like, go for gold with these visioning events, let's start off talking about Singapore. Didn't you just feel like that was God screaming when Singapore came up in FD's presentation? Confess. Look, even for me, because I had two locations, but the more I prayed, I felt like there was something for us in Singapore. And then I just zoomed in, and the more we even got these exciting locations within Singapore, it became clear that it's what we're doing. And when I saw that presentation, I was like, that is God screaming, saying, go do this. So don't sleep on it. Don't even sleep on it. We're going to Singapore in February, and it's just going to be a gift, you know, for those who are really set to frame an extraordinary year, and you also feel like you are ready for that kind of soul renewing, spirit lifting, vision clarifying, leadership shaping experience, because it's not just in the coaching, but in the exquisite goodness. By the way, Immerse doesn't deliver this VIP coaching retreats. We sort of prioritize where our strengths are. So we focus on the coaching. We have a coaching, an experienced partner, New Safiri, that goes with us, and they handle all the retreats we've had. We've been in Dubai, we've been in Seychelles, we've been in Marrakesh in Morocco, and on we head to Singapore. So, you know, use that link, start to think about it. I'm working with a very small number because I enjoyed how small the room was in Marrakesh. So I'm seeing the power in 8 to 12 people as against previously larger numbers. And so we're asking those who are certain they'll be able to join us at the fee to make their non-refundable deposits that will then be added to your ultimate payments, just so we're locking in those numbers and we know those we're working with. We've got the summit, which at any level, you must enter that one, because the summit this year is even more packed. There's a lot of generosity coming. You know, I've now gone quickly from Singapore. Leave that Singapore if you cannot Singapore with me, but be at that summit. I'm just nearly begging. I really need to see you in that room. You've never heard this declaration of dominion. I'm telling you, 2025 is the year for the blessed life. And you know, I was talking to you about the realms. It's going to get darker, but for you, it's going to shine brighter. And you have to go beyond saying amen, because it's not merely a prayer, it's a realm, it's a construct. And you have to understand how to, so you have to live out your amen as an action word, if you see what I mean. So we are looking forward to welcoming you. It will ultimately go for $50, but it's at $30 right now. And that's 30K as well for those paying in Naira. You want to explore that while the early bird discount is on. And then the retreat is happening on the 24th and 25th of January. And you can access the early bird as well. This retreat is different. And I think that the likely most exciting thing that I'm looking forward to with the retreat is how I want to help everyone take this blueprint. By the way, did I mention that we also have a Declaration of Dominion playlist? And now, guys, now you look at this point, you should be hugging me. You should just be like, you know, DDK, you always have us in heart. I am committed to making sure that we live in that realm together. Expect that by the 15th of November at the latest, on the same website, on the same page where you've got these retreats, I'm going to go put for you the actual blueprint for what that declaration of dominion looks like. And in as short as a year, you can see yourself go through the layers, and it's all in the mandate of the blessing. It's living out the blessing in a real way. So teaser called Trilani. As I was saying before I was interrupted, please. There is also the Declaration of Dominion 2025 playlist. But I'm saying that I will take the blueprint and I'm going to challenge everyone who comes to the retreat to submit a filled out action plan, and you're going to have coaches who can review that with you. But it really looks good on our side, and I want to invite you to be a part of it. Some of the things to watch out for at our visioning events, the summit itself, and I started to highlight to you how we want to show you the breakthrough blueprint for living in the blessing for the rest of your life. And you're going to start from 2025 or continue from 2025. You can be sure that I'm going to immerse you in a carefully curated coaching experience. And you know that one of the spaces of genius that I've been graced with is that merger between prophetic inspiration and pragmatic insights. I already also mentioned to you that we've got this playlist coming. Somebody asked for a teaser. She's teasing me, asking for a teaser. Look at that, look at that. But a playlist is coming. And I think that those tracks are also going to support staying on track with the voice printing of your life in the blessing. We are preparing for those who join us at Singapore, the fine cuisine, your special swag bag, the premium adventure outdoor experiences, as well as times of soul refreshing, soul renewal and spiritual refreshing. I feel like a high-powered part of our work with the retreats is the connections that happen. And you actually have to go read Amaka's testimonial. I really want you to go read Amaka's testimonial, Amaka Odonwo and Chimamaka Ige's testimonials, because they give you a vivid sense of specific kinds of encounters. And I don't need to preach this thing too much to a number of you because you're here with us and you've been a part of the visioning retreats, but I'm highlighting the networking because it's impacted me directly. Some of my best friends today, I met them through coaching. Can you even believe it? I was paid to then have these sisters, Bodam, Bralade, Ayonfe. It's really special. So if you open your heart, you're also going to intentionally curate your own ecosystem of those who keep you in the realm you prefer. We're going to hand you resources, offer you access to the replays, workbooks, assessments, and more tools that will support your transformation. For those coming to Singapore, I would also devote good time to what we call consulting hours. Everyone who's been with me at a VIP retreat, this is the biggest highlight for them because we excavate the answers you need for your specific vision. There's the glam dinner party in Singapore as well. We often have an Afro focus, a lot of fun, good food, fashion, friendships, and it's just beautiful things all together. What I'm pleased about with our visioning events is that you will find yourself somewhere. And I'm just hopeful that wherever you are in this season of your life, you'd be able to plug into one of the packages that we have. Early on next week, we're going to also release a sponsorship link for those of you who would like to invest in a young person by paying for them to attend the summit. And we'll make that available. You could pay for one person, 5 people, 20 people. You could pay for your entire community or pay for, anonymously, and we can make the selection through a merit-based scholarship system. But that is how it's looking, and I'm sure that the link is right there for you. All 3 events are sitting within that link, and I declare this open, you know, in the name of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I'm thankful for your commitment, your service, your love, your labor of love, your partnership. We will stay in touch by email. The replays of VLC are coming through soon. We will add this masterclass on that side as well, and the supporting resources will be made available too. We still have a few events till the end of the year, and we'll keep you notified. I think there's still a webinar on, ending your year strong. Maybe not ending your year strong. People find that thing stressful. Ending your year well. Strong. I've been strong all this year. End of year again, you Nigeria is staying strong. So, end your year well, end your year chilled. Thank you so much. I'll put you back in the hands of Kezia as we close this out tonight. Thank you. Blessings. See you soon.
Thank you too. Can we say a thank you to DDK in the chat? Thank you, FD. Thank you, DDK. Yeah, we are ending our year chilled and relaxed as we prepare to go to Singapore. Thank you, DDK. Thank you so much. Thank you, FD. The replays will be available very shortly. This is for VLC. For the Post-VLC MasterClass is still available on YouTube. We're not taking it down. Engage with it as much as you can and do enjoy a great evening. We are waiting to see you purchase your tickets for the summit, purchase your tickets for the retreat, and then we will see you in Singapore. I will see you in Singapore. That's my song until I step in Singapore. See you all at our next event. Have a great evening. Good night, everyone.